And one roller coaster fan down in Cincinnati doesn't ever mind the ride. In fact, he likes it so much, he's ridden thousands of times. His name is Don Helbig. He got on the Twin Racer at Kings Island today for his 8,000th ride around the track. He says this is a world's record for the number of rides on a single roller coaster, and he won't quit until he reaches 10,000. He'll put the record out of reach. Helbig started riding in 1981 when he worked for the Cincinnati Reds during the Major League Baseball strike. He had a lot of extra time on his hands, and he's become a coaster fan.
I rode that one 10 times in one day and thought that was a big deal.
That was a pretty big deal. Far short of the record, though.
Well, if you sometimes think life is like a roller coaster ride, listen to this story and then think again. 26-year-old Don Helbig of suburban Cincinnati seems to be making a hobby, if not a career, out of riding the Racer. Now, that's the wooden twin-track roller coaster in Kings Island Amusement Park in Ohio. Today was Helbig's 8,000th ride, and that's a record breaker.
You know, felt real good. Anytime I reach one of those milestone rides, I always feel real good about it. And I'm looking forward now to going on to 9,000. Can't wait to keep going on to that.
Helbig has been riding this racer every summer season since 1981, and he didn't receive any special treatment. He had to stand in line like everybody else. In fact, when you add up all of the time that he spent in line, it totals 83 days.
A man who says he holds the world's record for rides on a single roller coaster has taken his 8,000th trip on the Racer at the Kings Island Amusement Park near Cincinnati. Don Helbig broke his own record Friday, saying the thrills kept getting better. Don doesn't plan to stop his life of ups and downs until he hits 10,000, which should happen sometime next year. But judging from his record, reaching his goal should be all downhill from here.
Well, Cincinnati man broke his own record today by riding the Racer down at Kings Island for the 8,000th time. 26-year-old Don Helbig is no stranger to world records. He holds the previous one of 7,000 rides. He said that back in the summer of '87. He started riding in '81. Since that time, he's traveled more than 5,000 miles on the Racer. That's 11 days on the ride. One time he rode it more than 100 times in one day. Of course, he skipped lunch. Helbig said in no way is this the end of his career. His goal is 10,000 rides by 1990. And there he is, hands off again. That's
A lot of folks like to rock and roll, but one man is taking that philosophy to the limit. Don Helbig is trying to break a world roller coaster record at Kings Island. His coaster of choice is the Racer, and he's already ridden it 8,000 times. Now he wants to up that number to 10,000. Helbig says the only problem is that he thinks his hairline's receding because of all those thrills. That was a good one.
Something to blame it on.
After the basketball game, with movies like Indiana Jones and Batman, this summer is expected to be one of the hottest in Hollywood history. Trouble is, going to the movies could cost you more soon. We'll show you why. And speaking of the movies, Craig Kopp has a review of Heathers, the latest and weirdest movie to hit the theaters, all here after the playoff game.
History was made today at Kings Island when an Anderson Township man rode the Racer roller coaster, get this, for a record-breaking 8,000 rides. For the past 8 years, Don Helbig has been riding the Racer at Kings Island almost every day. That's the same as a 5,100-mile trip or 11 days on the same ride. And the amount of time he spent to get on the ride would equal 83 days. Helbig doesn't mind the amount of time it took, though.
How do you feel? Feel pretty good. A little tired at the moment because it's, all week long pushing to get that one ride. But anytime you reach one of the milestone numbers, it always feels a lot different than the other rides do.
But Helbig doesn't want to stop here. He can't wait for ride number 10,000.
To shoot for, isn't it? Yeah. Speaking of shooting for, I want to be a weatherman.
We're about to show you why. Let's go back to Bob for his forecast. Last word on the weather, Bob.